Today we are going to discuss, in Hebrew we started today, it is the first of the month Tammuz. In fact, also this is a month which not so many good things happened to Jews. You know, the 70th of Tammuz was the day that the besiege of Jerusalem started. And these 3 weeks in between Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which was the destruction of the first temple, the second temple. And in fact, there is a French historian which worked on the 9th of Av, and he found out about 100 troubles which happened to Jews on this day, 9th of Av, and he said that this for him, interesting, he was a non-Jew, he said, is a clear proof there is a God. How could be that so many things happened on this day? And it happened really, because the Torah says in Numbers, and the spies came back, and they brought false report. The report was right, but they interpreted it in the wrong way, and this really brought Jews to be very scared and not wanting to go into the land, and they cried. It was the cry on the night of Tisha B'Av, the night of Av, when the spies came back, and God said to them, you cried for nothing. I promise you, we'll be able to get to the land. Don't worry. From those giants and the things there, funerals, which you saw, which was the right interpretation, as you know. So because of this, God said, all over history will cry for something, not for nothing, on this day. And the idea is simple, to strengthen the belief, the faith of Jews. Seeing that so many things happen on this day, 9th of Av, cannot be coincidence. So it is I forgot his name, but it was brought. But here let us mention the known one: first temple, second temple, the conquering of the big city, Beitar, many people, the expansion from Spain. It was the 1st July at that time. Yeah, it was exactly on the 9th of Av. And Ferdinand said, this night you should leave this country. Yeah, and Jews went to the desert, what happened to them. So some say that if you know that expulsing Jews exactly on this night, how strong their faith will become now. Exactly on this day, expulsion of Spain. So he would not do it, wait for another day. But this is a fact, that it wasn't 9th of Av. You can check and find out, 1942. And, then the First World War started on the 9th of Av, which brought also a lot of Jews, and in fact was like the beginning of the second one. The second one was a little bit later, 17th of Elul, but in fact they said that the decision to do it, and whatever, it was really weeks before, which was the 9th of Av. In fact, also they said the final solution of Hitler to destroy Jews was this night. And so these French bring many other things. In fact, now you can add the expulsion of Gush Katif from the, from the place, in the Gaza, around the area of Gaza, it was, they decided to do it on the 9th of Av, but then when they found out, 9th of Av, so they did it a day after, the day after frightening that this is a month very difficult for us. So clearly, God wants to strengthen our belief that we did not have at the time in the desert. So this is what we see all over history. Interesting. Cannot be coincidence, definitely. So as we said, these 2 months, Tammuz, Cancer, and Av, Leo, are connected, and therefore we discuss about both of them. Even there's much more to speak on each one, but I think it will be nice to see the picture and how we can see that this month, are very, very bad ones. Unfortunately, tragedies happen this month. Why? And what we see really behind the meaning of this So the first thing which really is very important to tell you should know that you will not find it in the other astrology, in connecting stars, planets, elements to letters, but we believe that word was created with letters. Yeah, as the Kabbalah Zohar said, Bereshit bara Elokim et, in the beginning God created et, from Aleph to Tav, the 22 letters, and then on this he created the word. It means each letter is connected. Now, in fact, I gave a lecture a while ago about the connection between letters and planets and zodiacs and elements, but I don't know if all of you looked at it, but in short I will tell you, because this is a way to understand. So there are 22 letters in the alphabet, like the chromosomes, by the way. The 23rd one is male, female. It's the basis of the man, yeah, the basis of creation. So 22 letters were divided like this. The three letters, quite important letter, which is Aleph, the first letter, Aleph, Mem, and Tav, Mem is the middle one, the Tav the last one, were used for the three elements. Aleph for air in English also, Avir, and air come together. In fact, the connection between a letter in English, air and Avir, because Avir is Aleph, Vav, Yud, Resh, basically is A, V, I, R, basically the same letter, also in many other languages, air and so on. I wrote about it in my book, Hebrew Source of Languages, yeah. So Aleph is the letter with which the air was created. We need air, without air we cannot live. Then God created the letter Mem with the letter Mime, water with the letter Mem. Means the Mem was the letter with which was created the water. You can see also in the pronunciation Mem and Mime, you know. Mem was the letter Mem. By the way, in English, Mem is also like wave of water. Yeah, interesting. Then Mem was the letter with which God created the water, as we said, Mime. In fact, the hydrogen, really. Now, looking at the word Mime in Hebrew is H2O. It means the two hydrogens and the oxygen in the middle. The Mem is the hydrogens, Mem and Yud, element of life, oxygen on top. So you see, so the H2O is really Mime in Hebrew. So it shows you clearly what is behind Hebrew letters. Yeah. Then we have the letter Shin. The letter Shin, if you know in Hebrew, is like a flame of fire, ash. Yeah, ash. This is ash, this is fire, which bring ashes. You know, in English, you have the ashes which come after the ash in Hebrew. Okay, cannot be coincidence. So these are the three main elements. Now, what happens with earth, with ground, or sand? No element. It has the three elements together, because in the ground you find heat, fire, you find air in between the grain, and definitely you have water. So basically the three elements are air, water, and fire, and the fourth one is really a combination of them, like the black fire, the black color, which is really has the all colors in it. Now, so after using three letters of the alphabet, we remain with 19. So whatever is 99 in Hebrew, you have 7 letters that they have a dot in it. It's called dagesh. It means like letter vet, yeah? Without a dot inside is v, with a dot is be. The same thing with other letters. So it is really beged, bet, gimal, daled, we have a dot in it, and kaf, pei, and resh, taf. Resh, it is very interesting. It's not so usual, but in the Bible you have a few times the resh has a dot in it. So basically, the 7 planets were created by those 7 double letters. This I call it. Yeah, double letters. I mean double letter because it is vet and bet and kaf and chaf and yeah. So by the way, it is so interesting that in Hebrew, beged and kaporot, it means Beged is a garment and kapot is also covered. So, in fact, this what are the stars, the planet stars are covering God, they are the beginning of nature. So, these are now what God did with this. He created with these letters the planets. Even though there are more planets, but we speak about planets that you can see with your eyes, because they are the main effect on the world. So, then Bet was used for Saturn, Gimel for Jupiter, Dalet for Mars, and then afterwards you add the letter Kaf, which is the sun, was used for the sun. Kaf also interesting, like a crown, interesting with the sun. And then Pei is Venus, then Reish is Mercury, and Taf is the moon. It's an amazing idea, by the way, beside those letters, but they have also meaning, and these letters, their meaning really show a little bit of the character of these planets. Very interesting. By the way, I will not repeat the story, but the greatest, at that time, astrologer of the world, Washington Post, from New York Times, he had a column there. His name is Sidney Omar. In fact, I don't go into the whole story, but it happened that he met me, I met him, and he confessed to me that he's Jewish, and so happy to see that Hebrew letters are connected with astrology. He did not know, because he got the impression he's Jewish. When he was studying in Poland at the Cheder, a Jewish school, and he wanted to learn astrology, so Rabbi told him, leave it, learn some other things. So when he saw what really the stars are, because he was this one who told Kennedy, don't go to Dallas, they're going to murder you. A very famous story. So it is an interesting story that I gave a lecture in Los Angeles, and somebody bought my book, Above the Zodiac. This is really the book Above the Zodiac, consider Above the Zodiac. And she happened to live in his place, in the same building, and she gave him the book. He said, Jews also believe in astrology. So he said, no, all rabbis told me not. So she showed him the book, and he was excited. It's a mitzvah rabbi, exactly I was in Los Angeles. So he said, I will make you kosher, come to me, and I was so happy. Very interesting. So he confessed to me that he's Jewish. His name is Zeli Kimmelman. In fact, he passed away, but in the internet already mentioned that he was Jewish, but before he didn't want to know anything about Jew. But this is interesting, that the letters, the meaning of the letters, when he saw such clear connection with the meaning of letters to the planets, and also the letters mean something, and this is exactly what the letters are. Like if you take, for example, I cannot go into all of them, but let us say Reish, this is Mercury. Mercury is 80 days, he's doing the all round, it's very quick. And Reish, rushing, and represent speed and movement, like in English, you have Reish, rushing. In Hebrew, you have Ras, Rus, So this is still really what changed his life, and he visited the Jewish, and he was buried like a Jew, and definitely makes a mezuzah on his door. So this was really how the letters, the Hebrew letters, the meaning, and therefore, if you know the meaning properly, you can see even connection. What are the planets? Then, so 7 were used for the planets, and you were left with 12. What are those 12? The 12 are the 12 months, the 12 zodiac. So it means the letter Aleph you use for air, the letter Bet you use for Saturn, the letter Gimel you use for Jupiter. By the way, Gimel also is a letter which represents greatness, Gadol, Gavoa, also in English, great, gross, giant, Gimel. And this is why, because Zodiac, Jupiter is the greatest from all the other stars, because Dalet is Mars. This is the letter was left for the first month. Definitely the cycle started from the spring, it means from the month Nisan in Hebrew, which is Aries, So the letter A was given for it. Then Taurus got the letter Vav, and Sivan got Gemini both the Zayin, all the connection to the time, and this month Tammuz got the letter Chet, and so as we saw, the letter Chet was a letter with which the month Tammuz was created. And after the letters before us, we said, A, Vav, Nisan, Iyar, Ieris, Taurus, Vav, Sivan, Gemini, and Chet is a letter of this month, of the month of Tammuz, and the letter Tet afterwards also is a letter which is not so good as we see just now, is a letter for Leo. So basically the letters of the months Tammuz and Av are letters which build up the letter Chet. Chet in Hebrew is a sin. Yeah. Chet in Hebrew is a sin. Chet is the first letter of sin, and Tet is from Tumah, impurity. It means Tet. But important to point out that every letter, positive and negative, can not only negative. And Chet is really chiyut, life. And Tet is also Tov. For the first sentence of the Torah is Tet, Tov. Good. But every element in life one can use for good or bad. This is what God gave us, a free choice. Yeah, with atom you can destroy the world, and with atom you can heal people, yeah. Nuclear can be very good, definitely if misused, bring disaster. Everything like this. God gave a man power to build up himself, to bring a nice family, and he sometimes don't use it, yeah, the opposite. So, definitely everything. The same thing with letters. So Chet in a positive Chet, Chiyut, Chaim. In fact, it is also numerical value 8, which represents a very high level. Yeah. Spiritual life, the neshama. The neshama is also the same like the same really letters like Shmone. Shmone, Shin Mem Nun Hey, and neshama, because neshama, like 8 represents a high spiritual level, above nature 7. This is neshama, the spirituality. It's really, suppose the life of man, he should live, with a neshama, not with the nefesh, with the animal part in him, the nefesh. So this is also Tet that we said, can bring you Tet, impurity. Tet is also materialism, Tit. This is what Rabbi Akiva said, Tet el Tit. Somebody very much materialism, sankintetism. But Tet is also Tovah, goodness. So everything, so this month, unfortunately now, because of the sins of Jews, the spy, with the spies, turned to be really bad. But is it in future? As the Bible said, when Messiah will come, these days will be days of happiness and joy. It will be like a festival, they said. Yeah, from the 17th of Tammuz, 17th of Tammuz will be a festival, and then it will be like Chol HaMoed, after Tisha B'Av, will be very high. But now, unfortunately, because of the sin of the spies, God said that we are going to cry on this night for something, yeah, and this is, we have to wait. No, we have to do Shuvah, to repent. But it's amazing to see, as I said, as in Hebrew, you can understand meaning of really zodiacs, yeah, according to the meaning of the letters. So it shows us, but what it means really, it means this is a month to do with life, and the other was the goodness. But to see more connection between the months, zodiac, and the character of a man, or nature of man, better to say, is very much dependent on the connection between the zodiac, the months, to the 12 tribes. Yeah, there were 12 tribes, and each month has to do with another tribe. Now, tribes also have names, and every tribe has its character, its function, its goal in the nation. And this is really every month, every zodiac, another one. Now, what is the order? So it's a really argument between the Kabbalah, the Zohar, and Ram, Isaac Luria, which is really accepted more. And he said that the order of the months connected to the tribes is according to the way they were divided in the desert, going on the desert. So, as we know, the first one, 3, it was 3, 3, 3. It means the 12 were divided to 3, 3, 3. And the first one was Judah with Issachar and Zvulun. Second one were Reuben, Shimon, and Gad. Then Ephraim and Asher and Binyamin. The other last 3 were Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. But definitely not behind this. And their names have meaning. Now let us see who are those who are the tribes of Cancer and Leo, which is, as we said, Tammuz and Av. So they were Reuben and Shimon, as we said. The first one, Judah, Issachar, and Zvulun. So who are those? Reuben got Tammuz, and Shimon got Av. Now, Reuben was called by his mother because she saw, she was the grace of good. Shimon come from Nishma, to hear, because she heard of this. Now, every month, according to Rabbi Zekluya, has different character. Now, like Nisan is speech and meditation, and so on. We're not going to it now, but Reuven, this month, Reuven, Tammuz is the time of Reya, of sight. It means this is a month someone connected with sight. The month of Shimon, Shmiya, hearing. Now listening, amazing idea behind this. And this was the Vilna Gaon. There is a book which is called the Book of Formation. Book of Formation related to Abraham. According to the Book of Formation, you create a man, animals, stories. Really, it is about one of the Rebbe Chacham Tzvi, it is the fact that he created a cow, a lamb, and he had a problem whether they have to slaughter it or not. But, there is a story about the Maran Miprat who created a golem, like a robot, to save Jews from the... There's a question about this, I don't know, but no doubt that it's written about, the Gemara says that I think, the Gemara says about rabbis who also created this, it's written about the Vilna Gaon, but according to this book of formation, one can create a man. Definitely will not have a soul, he will not be able to speak, Because to speak is only this one who got the spirit from God, Neshama, but this is a fact, it's a fact, because, and all this to do with combinations of letters, this is really, the Sefer Ezra bring combinations of letters, not 231, couples of letters, okay, this is the idea behind, but this is a book of formation. So according to this book, definitely every month have a connection, so whatever it is, according to the idea, the character, of man who was born, you see, the idea of connection sight and the months is definitely how it comes out in a man is not. But the Vilna Gaon explains amazing idea about the reason that the spies, the story, the spies released, they stumbled, they did not see things properly. They saw things and they were very impressed and frightened and so on, and they explained it in the wrong way. So says the Vilna Gaon, by the way, it's important to know that the spies left on the 29th of Sivan, Geminites, and came back on the 9th of Av. They went for 40 days to spy out the land. So they left on Sivan, the 29th, and came back on Tisha B'Av. Now, mainly they went on the month of Cancer. Cancer. Tammuz. So he says this is the reason why they stumble in sight. Because the sight is a sense very effective on this month, and this is why they were really very much, they were moved, and the sight was really the main trouble with them. So did not see things properly. It's a very afraid when they saw big fools, when they saw giants and so on. They saw funerals. Misunderstood. Okay, so this the Vilna Gaon says, this is why they stumbled. Now, how you explain it, I don't know. Maybe really people who were born in cancer, means that they are very affected by sight. Always you have to be careful with sight, what to see or not to see. But interesting, interesting explanation for the sin of the spies this time. Then says the Vilna Gaon in his explanation of the Book of Formation, they came back on the month of Av, 9th of Av. What they did, they gave a speech. This is a wonderful country, but the giants there, people are dying there one after the other, so many funerals. Nothing is good for them. That this is why God did that people not be busy looking who is going around here. But there's an explanation why, because they had the interest to carry on being in they were presidents, they were princes, they were not simple people. But they thought it is better for just to learn more about God by seeing miracles, the manna and all these things. So, but it was ulterior motive. They wanted some to be presidents, because if they come to Israel, everything will be changed. Okay, whatever it is, this what happened. They came and they gave the report to Israel. But, terrible, dangerous country, who knows what can be. So when the people heard, Vaishmaam, Vaipku, they cried, they wept. So God said, you are crying for nothing, we cry. So what happened? Says the Vilna Gaon, because this is a month of Shmiah, of hearing, so when they heard those words, they were affected. So it means that Shmiah, hearing, at this time was strong and a great effect. So interesting. I think Bnei Yissaschar says that the first letter of Reuven, the tribe, and the site, Riyah, both are the letter Reish, and the letter of Shmiah is Shin, Shmiah and Shimon. So this two letters makes in Hebrew, the Hebrew word Rash. Rash is a poor person called Rash. Rash Ve'evion. So he says they are very poor months for Jews. What happened this month? Very interesting, Rash. So you can see already how Judaism has already interpreted. The interpretation of Jewish history is a little bit different. Practically, one should know that technically, definitely, it is the same thing to make a map, to know the character of person, definitely is the same thing, a technical thing, that according to the stars in heaven. And the position of the star of heaven definitely affects. The Talmud tells a very interesting story, that Abraham, it is an interesting story, where the Talmud says that En Mazal Israel. Israel are above the luck. I mean, even if the sun will show that terrible things are going to happen by praying, by studying Torah, they can change it. And the story brought there in the Talmud that, Abraham had really Ishmaeli, the son, but God told him, you have another son, Isaac. The angels came and told me, you have a son, Isaac. So Abraham said to God, what? I will have a son? I am old. Not only this, he said that I'm astrologist, I know stars properly. And really, when I was young, before, a while ago, my star, his star was Zodiac, Jupiter. Very interesting. Zodiac has to do with chesed, with tzedakah, which is exactly what Abraham was. He was a man of kindness. Interesting. Somebody who is born under Jupiter is supposed to have good heart. But it depends on the house and everything, not so simple. But there is a month really which indicates tzedakah, chesed, big one, a very big star, also a great heart. By the way, this greatness also. Abraham was called Adam HaGadol, the great man, because he was a great man. He was helping people, So Abraham said to God, look, I made a map of myself. And I saw that this my star, Jupiter, is in the west. The west is a cold side. How can I have children? So what God said to him, yeah, you are right. Right. You saw you have exactly did the right map, the stars, but you know what I will do? I will move Jupiter from the west to the east. And there is a verse in Job. Mi eir mizrach tzedek. Who moved or woke up? The star tzedek to the east. Yeah? No. En mazal Israel. I want to tell you a story, really, a story which is a real story because I was involved in this. So it was in Israel, one of the great astrologists, Ilan Peker. Every Israeli knows he used to have programs in astrology in the radio, very popular, and really many times he really was right in what he brought. He told me he was careful not to show people in their stars future what can happen, because, by Torah, but normally he says the nature, the character of people according, analyzing everything. Sometimes he said about the future when he has a basis for it. In fact, this is also in Torah codes, in Bible codes, about the future, when I do things, because I have the basis, I have the basis that Trump is one of the candidates, and the elections are going to take place, so I could see what will be. I have the basis, but not always, you could see. But, so he told me, so once we had an interview, really, by great papers in Jerusalem Post, in English. So they called me, they called him, and they want to know the approach of astrology and so on. So I said, definitely, what I tell you about connected letters and so on. And then he said amazing story. He said that he did a map, astrologist map, on Sadat. You heard about Sadat. He was the president of Egypt who was killed. It was the day, exactly the day of Yom Kippur War. They made a parade or something, and they killed him. So it says the following. He told the story, the real story, that when he saw that Sadat is in danger of murder, of death, he sent him a letter, and he told him, look, I want to tell you, I made your map, and I saw clearly that you are going to be murdered. Do something. By the way, Jews can do, very interesting stories, because by praying, by listening to rabbis, whatever it is, but Gentiles, no. Non-Jewish world, definitely astrology affects them, but to change their luck is not so easy. So, okay, this is what he told him. I want to tell you that you're in danger of death, start to do everything to avoid. And you think, so he got a letter back, he told me, in the paper, he said, I got a letter back from Sadat, his signature. He said, thank you, Mr. Thank you, appreciate your interest for my life. But my astrology said the same. My astrology said the same thing. I want to tell you, it's a danger. And it looked like he was really waiting for it. Unbelievable, frightening. But I tell you, it's a real story, because this is the paper, it's both of us, it's Peker and myself. Yeah. En Mazal Israel, there are many stories in the Talmud about people were in danger of stars, but because it's Dakar, change it. So coming back to the months of Tammuz that we started now, and the months of Av, so let us see something more about it. This is really unbelievable. Yeah. What are the elements and what are the stars ruling these months? What are the Zodiac and what is definitely the months? The sun and the moon. In fact, exactly this is what they are. Because, Cancer is ruled by the moon and Leo by the sun. So it means what you have is the moon and the sun. Yeah, very important months, by the way. Yeah, sun and the moon, very important. The sun is like the crown, the center, and the moon has a great impact on the world. So these are the elements, and the zodiacs, as we said, ruled by the sun, the moon, and the elements. Water is the element of Cancer, and fire is the element of Leo. By the way, also the elements also shows something. Element of water, emotional, very emotional. Depends also, very important to point out, that the element of water you have also in other sense. You have in Cheshvan, Scorpio, yeah? You have in Pisces, but each one are different. There is strong emotion, less. Depends also in other conditions to come to it, but basically the water represent emotion. So therefore people of Cancer, very strong emotions. Those emotions, those feelings can come in different ways, but also in a positive way, emotion, feeling people, feeling really others people, many people suffering, so they want to help. Yeah, in fact, they say that, the astrology says that many nurses are under this sign of Cancer because this is kind of emotion, want to help and like to help emotionally. Okay, there are much more definitely. The emotions can be used in the wrong way, like sight can be used in the wrong way. So sight and emotion, Cancer, no, to think about it. Now, what happened in Leo? Leo is fire. No, fire want to go up, you know. They say that most of the leaders are Leo, you know, they want, like the fire to be on top of it, to rule, control others, organize things, by the way, also. So fire has to do with this. And, as we said, moon and sun, you know, something interesting. In Hebrew, the letters of Chama, sun, is like the letters of Amoach, the brain. Yeah, the brain. So the brain is connected, or the sun, better to say, is a symbol of the brain in man. Yeah, like the sun is shining, shows you the way. Without the light of the sun, you know how to go. The same thing, the brain. The brain also shows us, definitely, we use it, but the intellect is in the brain. In fact, also, you know, electricity also have to do with the brain a little bit, and to do this kind of light, fire. Also, this element have to be in it, in the brain. And then, Lebana, basically the letter Alev, yeah. Alev, the heart, because the Lebana represents the heart. Yeah, and the heart, you know, normally, this is the emotion. The emotion is the heart. And this is interesting that this is really Cancer. And as we said, very interesting to see how these two months, these zodiac are the main ones. In fact, you know, the sun is the main one, everything around it is the moon, you know, which brings over everything down to earth, you know. This is really why this is according to the spheres, is a yesod, and definitely there's a lot to connect this. Also in my book, I showed the clear connection between the stars and the spheres. Yeah? Like we have 7 spheres, I mean the 7 that are the emotional, better to say, yeah? You have 3 intellectual, Chabad, but you have the Chesed and Gvura. So in fact, yeah, the same thing with the stars, there's connection for the spheres also. And in my book, I've brought all these things. But now, generally, what really I wanted to show you, even not going so much into the characters of people, in my book I wrote a lot. Maybe I can read it a little bit from my book about this. But mainly I want to show you that really in Jewish astrology you have to see what are the letters, you see many other things, you know, because letters are very important. This is why I wrote about 36 books about letters in Hebrew and in English also, letters of fire, very important. So you see, so in my book I brought, as I said, many things, but I brought here a little bit of the, as I told you, in Judaism, better to say Toradic way, and the secular mundane. So here what I wrote in my book about the Zodiac, as we said, about the Zodiac. So the attribute of this man's sight was put out of the realm of holiness by the sin of the spies. This is what I told you. I brought it here. And then I brought the letter Chet. And so what I said, it is very interesting to show the idea of the secular one. I try to show and to tell you what is really the idea. So it means the emotion energy of Tammuz with its destructive element, as we said, if you don't use sight properly, you don't know, is similar in the tribe of Reuben. The tribe of Reuben, by the way, he was the tribe who made the most troubles to Moses. He joined Korach, rebelling against Moses. So emotion, Reuben, it is conducted itself during the desert wandering, and he joined Korach, instigation of Korach. He joined it. Now, Shimon, Shimon, he was this one, Zimri, you know the story? He joined Zimri and rebelled against Moses, and he brought to the death of 24,000 Jews. So this also, as we see, the idea, as we said, about sight and hearing and so on, very, very strong in these months. And if you go into it, really, I wrote in my book, really, that according to the Zohar, really, better to say, the first 3 months, Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan, were given as in inheritance to the children of Yaakov. Interesting. This is why it is another idea about connection of month. When the next 3, Tammuz, Av, and Elul, were the portion of Isu. Interesting. So this is really, by the way, why these 2 months are troublemakers to Jews. The month of Elul really is already, the story is that Jacob managed to get it, so struggling with Esau, and this changed everything. This is the month of Tshuva, of repentance. So this is what really one can see so beautifully, how the history of Jews, right, goes together with the stars. Perhaps I will mention to interesting idea also about months. This is idea also in astrology. Like if you take the first month, normally in the group of 333, the first one is called active, active. The second one is called passive, but is different, passive, but the interesting one, the third one is called changing. Changing also might indicate that people can change easily in this month. It is, which is the third one. Now, amazingly is the history of this month. If you take the month of Gemini, this is the third one, after Aries, Taurus, Gemini. And this is a changing month. What happens this time? Just change. From being a nation of slaves, being a nation who got the Torah in Sinai. We got it on Gemini, in the third month. So it was a change in Jewish people between being slaves and being free and Torah people. Then, if you carry on, which is Tammuz, active, and Leo, passive. Passive means that controlling oneself, not, And then comes the changing one, which is Elul, month of Elul, the month of Tshuva, repentance, before Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. You have to change your deeds, you change your behavior. This month help you to change, because the month of changing. Carrying on, Elul, we have Tishrei, active, very active, then Cheshvan, and then you have Kislev. What is Kislev? Chanukah, a big change in Jewish history. Matityahu managed to change whole history. If not Matityahu, the Hellenist, At that time, the leftists at that time, the Hellenists, we stopped Judaism, Torah and so on. They defiled, impure the Moel and so on. But Matityahu with his sons, changed everything. Hanukkah came. No, this is a change, a big change in Jewish history. Then take other months, take what happened. Then you have, after Kislev, you have Tevet, strong one, active, and Shvat, Aquarius, like passive. Different expression, a little bit different, but it shows different characters of each month, this point of view. And then Purim, changing. What happened in Purim? We have the Haman at that time. Haman is today exactly the same thing. Wanted to wipe out Israel, the Jews. Yeah, this is exactly what Haman was. Some say the incarnation of Haman. Yeah, the same thing. Right? Like our rabbis tell us, if Jews don't do Shuvah willingly, so you appoint upon them a leader like Haman in Persia, and he will threaten the existence of Israel. So no, Israel will know. The only way is to pray to God to do Shuvah, like they did in Purim. They listened to Esther, Mordechai. Esther, Mordechai said to them, look, you see here what is in the paper. A decree all over the world was sent. When you come to this day, you should kill any Jew you find on the way. Yeah. This was a letter that was sent by Haman with the signature of Ahasuerus to the whole world. Yeah, this is a time to kill any Jew you see, Holocaust. Yeah. No, what happened? The Jews did Shuvah, and this decree was abolished. Yeah, and they were allowed to fight again, but this is what. But it was a big change. Who knows what would be if Jews would not Shuvah, because Haman, had everything to do with the help of Ahasuerus. Not simple at all, And people, unfortunately, like to kill Jews, especially Amalekites, the Amalekites. So it was also a month of change. So amazing to see, right, how elements in history, in the astrology, explanation of the story, and everything in astrology fits so much with Judaism, and it is really much, much more behind. So, so as I said, I have to go into this writing of mine, the book about the Zodiac, and to find out, because every part I show different between the interpretation of the non-Jewish astrology and Jewish astrology, So there is clear differences like this and similarities, but they used on their own. Like here we mentioned sight and so on, but in fact there are more explained. So I think we'll finish here. And as I said today, I want to give you general idea of what zodiacs are and how they work with the Hebrew letters and so on. But you can go here. Definitely, as I said, every letter in zodiac goes together and explains a lot of things, a lot of things. If you go into the, like Chet and Tet, I tell you, but the same thing happened with other. And in fact, not only this, if you take the letter Bet, I give you an example, Bet, with which Capricorn was really, there's a month of Capricorn, better to say, and this is a letter Bet, which have to do with Bait. You see, Bait means to be at home, it is interesting that people who are Capricorn, they don't like so much to travel around. Better to be at home. I have the same problem with my wife. I'm Sagittarius. I like to go around all the time, And my late wife, she was Capricorn, and, so we came to compromise. Instead of 10 times a year, 5 times, whatever it is. But this is what it's about Capricorns. They are good workers, all this explaining. They are good workers, a little bit nervous, but It is, yeah, but interesting that the letter Bet have to do with bite, with house. So it shows that there are people who are. Reish, for example, for Gemini, it says that people with Gemini like to run a lot, but they cannot, rush. So it is really what I tell you now is a drop up to understanding how beautifully our connection with letters and Zodiac. In fact, this was one of the great, I think, the most important parts which changed Sidney Omar. Yeah, when he saw this, when he saw my book, this was a story that when she showed me this lady, she heard my lecture and she bought my book and she showed it to him. Said, "Here's the book about the Zodiac, which Jews believe in it, or rabbis." So he was, he said, "No, but the rabbi." Then he looked in the book and really, after a short time, he said to him, "Look, this book is going to change me." He said, What happened? So he told her the story. I'm Jewish and I know Hebrew properly. And seeing this connection, amazing. So the story is that he wanted the book, so they called the Chabad bookshop in Los Angeles. It sold out, but the rabbi was here a while ago. So, okay, no, she said, they look in my book, and said, look in my book, and he said, maybe it's a phone number. So there were 2 phone numbers. It was a phone number of in Israel and my cousin in Santa Barbara. So he said, let us call his cousin Santa Barbara. Maybe he has a book we sent her. So they called Santa Barbara. Who picked up the phone? He was next to me there, and I said, Sidney Omar, which is Arab, who wants why he wants me? He said, no, Sidney Omar, he's a man of television and radio, he doesn't speak with people. So I said, what can I help you? He said, look, Rabbi, I saw your book and I'm so happy, I'm Jewish, I'm so happy to see how the Jews really believe in astrology and how astrology connected with Hebrew letters. Please come to me, I will make for you kosher. I invite my friend from Hollywood, some Nobel Prize and whatever it is. And I want them really to know what is the Hebrew letters, And this is what happened. He invited to his house, and he wanted some interesting people. He was also a producer of a movie. He said that he needed a rabbi for his movie. So he offered, said, no, thank you very much. So it was a very interesting meeting. He spoke a while ago. It was, I think, 7, 8 years ago. He passed away. But he spoke about 2 hours, clearly showing this connection and how true it is. And then he put mezuzah on the door. I don't say he will become complete Baal Shuvah, changing all his life. But he put mezuzah and he appreciated Judaism. He said his name is Ellen Kimmelman, Sidney Omar, only because when he did not know that astrology in Judaism was so close to Judaism. So he cut himself completely out. Nothing, no Kimmelman anymore, only Sidney Omar. You can see in the New York Times, it's Kimmel, always Sidney Omar. But he passed away as a Jew, very important. What will be if not? This is a story, and really he clearly saw this connection between letters, meaning of letters, and meaning of zodiac, so stars, and so on. Okay, so we'll finish here. There's much more to speak about it, and really let us hope that we'll go through this month in the right way, because as I said, these months are difficult months, it's written that really people have to be careful, especially in the 3 weeks, between the 17th of Tammuz. And let us hope that it will turn to be really, as we said, holidays, festivals, and definitely hoping and wishing this year already to the coming.